Welcome back everyone, this is Travis here of FishOfHex. Today I'm going to be talking about the 300-gallon build, my overall plans, and kind of how the whole process is going to work. Now I've been getting a lot of questions via the comment section and Facebook through the FishOfHex Facebook page, kind of what's going on with the 300-gallon build, what are my overall plans, and kind of how it's going to play out. So that's what we're going to cover here in this video, so yeah, let's go and get into it. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is the tank and stand. Now I'm happy to announce that I've partnered up with CustomAquariums.com and they're going to be sponsoring a portion of this build. So shout out to them, I really do appreciate it. And I've actually become an official retailer through them. So if you're looking to purchase a tank like mine when we start that build, you can always contact me and we can set that up. Now moving on to the dimensions of the display tank, we're looking at 96 inches long by 24 inches wide and 30 inches tall, giving us that 300-gallon profile. Now I decided to go with Custom Aquarium's H2 overflow, which is a low profile overflow that skims the surface, and then that will flow into a box behind the tank and of course down into the sump. So I'm really excited to check out this overflow. I've seen several builds with it, and honestly I can't wait to try it out. Now when it comes to the glass, we're going to be going with 3 ultra clear panels, one on the front, one on each side of the tank. Now when it comes to the back and the bottom, they're just going to be standard glass. The bottom will be tempered and the back will be painted black through CustomAquariums.com. Now I'm going to get the tank in. I'll most likely use the paint that I use on all my frag tanks and paint the bottom of the tank. I really haven't decided, depends on kind of how everything is laid out. When it comes to the return lines, Custom Aquariums will also be drilling the 3/4 inch bulkhead holes. That way I can go ahead and do all that plumbing. No drilling on my end, so I'm pretty happy about that. Alright, enough about the display tank. Let's go to move down to what it will be sitting on. Now I'm going with Custom Aquarium's powder coated steel stand. Of course it has the same footprint, 96 by 24 inches, and then I'm going with 36 inches tall. Now I decided to go with this height. I know that the tank is still 30 inches tall, so you're looking at 36 stand with a 30-inch tall tank will be a pain in the ass for maintenance, and I am willing to accept that. Mostly because I really want the tank to be up where you can be standing and kind of have the entire display in front of you, so there is no bending over to like look at things. It's going to be right there in your face. The second reason is the Niles Quantum 300 protein skimmer. I need to have enough room to fit that in the sump. And right now I have a 36-inch tall stand, but it is out of 2x4, so I am losing some height there. And it is a little bit of a pain to get in there. So I really wanted to go with the 36-inch tall steel stand for this build. Now for the bracing on the stand, I'm kind of going with the standard, what they recommend for the sides and the back. But for the front, I requested to have one single bar. That way I can fit my sump in there as well as a display refugium if I decide to go that route. And I just don't want to, have the stand built and then get a larger sump and not be able to fit it because there's bracing in the way. So it's just like the 200-gallon frag tank. There's that one beam in the middle, and there really is no issue with that. Well, that's pretty much all the info I have currently on the tank and stand. And again, shout out to CustomAquariums.com for sponsoring a portion of this build. I really do appreciate it. And I will put a link to their website in the description below. Now, you guys can look forward to the delivery/unboxing of both the tank and stand here in mid-September. I will keep you guys updated as we get closer to that build process. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the filtration. Now I've decided to go with a custom red, white, and blue sump from Geo. We're still working out the plans and trying to figure out exactly what I want to add to it, but the overall pictures, we're going to build it around the Quantum 300 protein skimmer just because of how massive that skimmer is. Now I'm going to be going with a built-in carbon and GFO reactor. There will be 2 reactors there. I'm also going to be doing a built-in algae scrubber and maybe an ATO reservoir. It really depends on how long it is. Now section wise, I definitely want to be able to fit my marine pier blocks in there, so we're still working on trying to find a section that will fit the best. And if I so choose to use filter socks, I want to be able to have that as an option as well. Now I've also decided to move away from dosing 2-part and go with a calcium reactor. Now I decided to go with Geo's calcium reactor and do the same theme of red, white, and blue. So I think that's going to look pretty cool. It's going to kind of all tie together. And I really haven't decided on what color piping I'm going to use. Probably a red and maybe a white fittings. I really, like I said, haven't decided what I'm going to do for color scheme. But between the red, white, and blue, calcium reactor, and sump, I just think it's going to fit very well. Now I mentioned previously I might add a display refugium. I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. I might do that, or I might do a custom frag tank underneath there. Again, that's going to be something that I'm going to figure out in September because I really don't know what kind of space I have until the sump is sitting in there, to the tank is where it's at, and kind of really what I want to do overall. But there's either going to be a display refugium, approximately 60 gallons, or a frag tank that will fill in the rest of that space. That way I can have frags and not have them in the main display. Alright, the last thing we're going to talk about is lighting. What route am I going to go? Am I going to stay with my current setup of having primarily LEDs with T5 sublighting? or am I going to move into primarily T5s with LED sublighting? I do know that I'm going to have a mixture of both regardless of what setup I go with. Now here are the two options that I've laid out budget-wise that will work for me. The first one is two 4-foot 8-bulb T5 ATI fixtures, and then that will be 16 T5 bulbs total with 2 LED strips on either side. That will give me the shimmer to the tank. Now that is kind of where I'm leaning towards, but I also have another option of having 4 Radion LEDs with T5 bulbs on either sides of those. And I am leaning more toward the T5s primarily because of the acropora that I like to grow. But then again, people are still getting pretty good results with the Radions, and of course I can still add a bunch of T5s with the Radions because of how small they are. Now, budget-wise, they're both within the same range, and consumption of energy, obviously the Radions will be better long-term when it comes to using up my electric bill. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. What I probably do is put an option out there and do like a vote towards September and see what you guys think, and we'll kind of have another conversation about it as the build goes on. All right, now that we pretty much talked about all the major components of the build, let's talk about stocking and kind of the Aquascape theme. Now, when it comes to the Aquascape theme, I'm going to do something similar to my 125. I like the pillar look. I like having the open space. This time, with it being so wide, I can kind of set them up in a way that the fish would have to like go through it if there was like cones at a course. So they're kind of you know, off from each other and not really centered in the tank, so it kind of gives more depth to it. So that's my plan, doing about 5 pillars in that build, and that way they'll be full of coral. I can separate it by species, and I don't have to really worry about them killing each other too much. Now when it comes to fish and stocking, I still have my snowflake eel, which is a little over 2.5 feet long. He's just getting bigger and bigger. I have cut his feeding down to twice a week instead of 4 times a week, and that has helped not only with the nutrients, but also because he's in that 60-gallon cube, I don't need him continuing to grow over the last 3 or 4 months and becoming uncomfortable. Now, stocking wise regarding the fish, I do plan on adding about 10 more tanks to this. I am going to keep my current 2 clownfish, and I'll probably add some anthias and stuff like that, some smaller oddball fish, just not too small that they fit in the eel's mouth, and yet I haven't had a problem with that so far. I'm going to be adding another Linkia starfish, probably do the red or orange. I haven't really decided. The blue is still doing great after over a year. And then, of course, the usual cleaner shrimp and all that kind of stuff will be in there. Well, guys, that's pretty much all the information I currently have on the 300-gallon build. And if something changes or I decide to go a different route, I will make an updated video to let you guys know. Now, I am targeting the start time for this build to be mid-September, so I will let you guys know officially when it's going to start, and we'll be working our way up with curing rock and kind of seeing where it's going to go in my office and just all those other videos you guys will see. So stay tuned. There will be a ton of content coming from this tank. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about before I let you go, and that is pretty much the consistency of my content here on YouTube. Now, I have been lacking, or better yet, slacking on my content just because there's a ton of stuff going on with client builds, family, and moving here within the next month. So I just haven't been able to sit down and make any content. Now, I will put some time aside this week to try to get out a few videos, but don't be upset if you don't see one for a couple weeks and you know, something that's just going on and I can't do it. All right, so that's about it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, found it somewhat entertaining. If you have any questions regarding this build, put it in the comment section below and let me know what you think about the lighting. I do appreciate that. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Peace.